Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillahi amma ba'du. Welcome to another episode of the Heart Matters podcast, and we are beginning the new series, Concise Advice by Shaykh-ul-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah. This particular treatise, walillah alhamd, it was written because Abul-Qasim, as-Sabti, al-Maqdisi, rahimahullah, who was a scholar in his own right and an explorer, as they put it. He was a traveler. He traveled quite a bit. And he stated that he had never met anyone who was more knowledgeable than Shaykh-ul-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah. And at this time, Shaykh-ul-Islam, rahimahullah, during this time, he was only about 36 years old at the time. And Abul-Qasim as-Sabti, I think he was a little older than the Sheikh. And he said that he had never met anyone more knowledgeable as Shaykh al-Islam. And keep in mind, Abul-Qasim as-Sabti was a traveler. He traveled around seeking knowledge and like this. So he asked the Shaykh-ul-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah ta'ala, he asked him four questions. He asked him four questions, and he asked the Shaykh to keep the response concise. This is one of the reasons why it is called the concise advice. It's also called the concise legacy, and like this, because Shaykh al-Islam, he kept the advice concise. And the four questions that Abul-Qasim as-Sabti asked Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, is he asked him to give him some advice that would benefit him in his religion and in his worldly life. Two, he asked him to direct him to a comprehensive book such that he would not need any other book. Number three, he asked him to direct him towards the best actions after the obligatory acts of worship. And he asked him to direct him to the most profitable way to make a living. These are the four questions that Abul-Qasim as-Sabti al-Maqdisi, rahimahullah, asked Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah ta'ala. In this particular series, inshallah ta'ala, we're only going to deal with number 1 and number 4. We're not going to deal with 2 and 3. We're going to deal with number 1 and number 4. Number 1 is give me some advice that will benefit me, that will be a benefit to me in my religion and in my worldly life. And the fourth question was, direct me to the most profitable way to make a living. These are the two that we are going to deal with in this series. We're not going to deal with the complete treatise. One of the reasons for that is when you look at this advice and you look at this advice critically, if an individual accepts and understands issue number 1 and issue number 4, then these 2 issues will set all of his affairs in his deen, in his religion, and his worldly life in order. If an individual looks at these 2, if an individual goes to the treatise, the Concise Advice or the Concise Legacy, and he just reads Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah's answer to question number 1 and question number 4, he would get tremendous benefit. Get tremendous benefit just from those 2. So those are the 2 that we're going to deal with, inshallah ta'ala. Advise me as to what will rectify my religious practice and my worldly life, and what is the way to make the most profitable living. These are the 2, inshallah ta'ala, that we are going to deal with. We will come and we will talk a little bit about, because we're gonna read from the book, the translation of the book from Sheikh Ruhaili Suhaimi. We're gonna read from his translation and explanation of the book, because this is one of the tremendous benefits in this time, is that you have books, writings. Sheikh Suleiman Ruhaili, one of the tremendous benefits of this time is that you have books from scholars from the past. Ibn Taymiyyah, Ibn al-Qayyim, Sheikh bin Baz, more recently, Sheikh Albani, Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, and other than them. They wrote books about Aqidah and books about fiqh and books about Arabic and like this. And now you have modern scholars who are explaining what those shuyukh, those ulama from the past, were explaining. So we're going to read from the translation by Sheikh Suleiman al-Ruhaili, Hafizullah. So when we come back for the first episode, we will read a little bit about the Sheikh, not Ibn Taymiyyah. Not Ibn Taymiyyah. We will read a little bit about we will read a little bit of the introduction that Sheikh Suleiman Ruhaili wrote about the book, and then we will go right into the treatise. I will probably read a little bit about the Sheikh Hafizullah, a little bit of so that we'll understand who it is that's explaining this particular work. But we will do that in episode 1. We will read the Sheikh's introduction, Suleiman al-Ruhaili. We will probably read a little bit about him, how where he learned, who he studied with, and like this, and then we will go into the concise advices, inshallah ta'ala. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, about anything that you hear on the Heart Matters podcast, please feel free to reach out to me at spiritualcoaching.150@gmail.com. That's spiritualcoaching.150@gmail.com. We will be back with episode 1 of the Concise Advices. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد.